Hello, and thank you for joining the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce for our 117th annual meeting of membership. I am Jack Lavin, President and CEO of the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for tuning in today. A year ago, I spoke to you from this stage 3 months into the COVID-19 crisis. We were unaware of the challenges we would ultimately face, how long it would last, the restrictions for business, the changes to everyday life, and more. The Chamber's Economic Recovery Task Force had just finished its work, and the Chamber made a pledge to encourage companies to buy locally, hire locally, and invest locally, and to listen and learn to make a more equitable and inclusive city. The commitment of the Chamber and the business community has only grown stronger over this past year to support our economy and the millions of people that live, work, and thrive in Chicagoland. As we work to close this chapter of our city's history and reopen our economy, I am optimistic about our future. The measurements we desperately needed to give businesses a roadmap so they could start moving us toward an economic recovery are in place. We just hit phase 5 in the city and state. Restaurants are open. The auto show and conventions are coming back. Office populations are growing. The lakefront is busy. The Bank of America Marathon is moving forward. Museums are welcoming visitors, and our renowned sports teams are finally able to put fans back in the stands. The vibrancy and energy of our great city is back on the rise. That is something we can all celebrate. It's exactly why we're gathering, and hopefully is our last time being virtual. The business community has persevered through the toughest of challenges. Chicago is resilient, and it's always the business community that leads our city through the trials and into prosperity and jobs and economic opportunity. We have an excellent lineup of speakers for you today. You'll hear from Mayor Lightfoot and Governor Pritzker shortly. Throughout the program, we're excited to have presidents and CEOs of Chamber members share their optimism for the future of Chicago. We will pass the gavel from our current board chair to our new chair, and we are honored to have an inspiring keynote presentation. I look forward to hearing the discussion between Valerie Jarrett, president of the Obama Foundation, and Val Warner, Emmy Award-winning host of ABC7 Chicago's Windy City Live. So let's get to it. Thank you for tuning in to the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce 117th Annual Meeting of Membership. Please enjoy the program.
Chicago has come through some challenging times before. We tell our incoming students that the famous fire literally stopped blocks away from what was a fledgling school. The university started, and within weeks, the university was back up and running, and you could go through history to the present time. So there's a resilience, there's a can-do attitude to the city that I think gives all of us who live and work in the city great confidence. This pandemic has laid bare, if you will, maybe some blind spots as a community that we've had. The inequities around healthcare, economic inequities, racial disparities, and the issues around racism have actually come right to the forefront. How do we emerge from this and address those long systemic or structural issues? And that's why I think Chicago will even emerge stronger. You know, all of us at the universities, yes, we have our educational mission, but one of the things I think we forget sometimes is between us, we have over 200,000 students that come into the community. And they really do see Chicago as home, and they see this as a place where often they want to stay and work. So as businesses continue to innovate and grow and develop in a number of the sectors that we know are priorities, it's making sure that as businesses and university, we stay connected.
Chicago's never been a city that lacked for ambition. Chicago's never been a city that lacked for big ideas. Chicago's never been a city that was unwilling to step forward and take a lead to improve the city. And we're at a pivot point now. I think we're going to find out, not just in Chicago, but across this country, what cities want to lead and what cities are going to follow. To maintain a competitive strength and a competitive position, you have to invest in the core infrastructure of your city. And that's really what One Central is. One Central is a civic project long before it's a vertical development. One Central is an opportunity to greatly improve Chicago's transportation infrastructure for all of the city. Number two, it's an opportunity to greatly strengthen the civic and cultural assets by bringing improved transportation and an amenity set that doesn't exist today in and around cultural assets that drive massive visitation to the city. Number three, it can become a gateway to the South Side. The Mayor's Invest Southwest initiative, this can be the catalyst that really jumpstarts that with a nearly $4 billion infrastructure investment.
Hello, I'm Scott Swanson, president of PNC Bank for Illinois. It's great to be with all of you today. PNC is a proud chamber member and committed to supporting its mission in bringing tools, resources, and connections to businesses across Chicagoland. This aligns with the way PNC approaches the relationships we have with our customers. Together with other organizations like the Chicagoland Chamber, we're helping the path to economic recovery for businesses and communities across our region. I'd like to thank the Chamber and its staff for making today's program possible and for your hard work at keeping the interests of the business community at the forefront to ensure we all have a seat at the table. At PNC, we are committed to doing all we can to help Chicago thrive, as is our next speaker, Mayor Lightfoot. Since 2020, more than 325 companies have expanded in Chicago. Since January of this year, 41 companies have made pro-Chicago decisions, both relocations and expansions. Site Selection magazine named Chicago as the #1 metro for corporate relocation and expansion for the 8th consecutive year. Also for the 8th consecutive year, Chicago's been named #1 metro city in North America for foreign direct investment by IBM Global Location Trends. These are two distinctive and important rankings that Chicago continues to dominate, and it is particularly exciting that we were able to do so during a global pandemic. Thank you, Mayor Lightfoot, for making Chicago a great place for business. Now I would like to welcome Mayor Lightfoot, and I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in today.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot, and it's my pleasure to speak at the Chamber of Commerce's 117th annual meeting of membership. Last year, when events like this one were forced to go online, we didn't know nearly as much about COVID-19, nor the full extent of its impact on the Chicagoland region's economy. But now, as we gather virtually one more time, we have a better and brighter outlook on the economic and civic future of our great region. As a result of more and more residents getting vaccinated, our region has been able to take huge steps forward in our reopening and recovery efforts. Thanks to initiatives such as Open Chicago, we are actively working to revitalize our economy while simultaneously restoring our residents' sense of normalcy, showing the whole world that Chicago is safely open for business, work, and leisure. Let's continue to keep up the good work. By doing so, we will be able to make the Chicagoland area stronger than ever before. So thank you, everyone. It's my pleasure to be with you, and please continue to be safe.
At a time when global health and financial stability are critical to our economies and current events have brought racial and gender equality to the forefront of our society, Adtalem Global Education remains focused on our mission. By expanding access to education and upskilling opportunities, we can address healthcare workforce needs with greater agility and scale and hone the skill sets of financial services professionals. Our dedication to diversity enables outcomes that are more equitable and inclusive for all. We're helping build a brighter tomorrow today. Together, we are Adtalem.
This shot is our shot. The COVID-19 vaccines are ready, and so is Walgreens, with pharmacists who know you. So when you're ready, they'll be ready to give it to you safely for free. This is our shot at bringing our communities back together. providing healing, not just for some, but for all. This is our shot. This is our shot. This is our shot.
We have made tremendous progress since our last annual meeting in 2020. But through all these challenges, the Chamber has been unwavering in its commitment to serve the needs of our great city and the businesses and residents throughout Chicagoland. The Chamber's leader throughout this difficult time has been our chair of the board, Bruce Lubin of CIBC USA. He agreed to stay on as board chair for an extra year to become only the second chair in our long history to do that. On behalf of the Chamber members and the business community, thank you for your leadership and service. Our success has been as a direct result of your guidance, partnership, and dedication. On a personal basis, I am grateful for your mentorship and friendship over these past 3 years. I was 6 months on the job when you became chair, and it has been a pleasure working with you to guide the Chamber and the business community through these interesting times. Bruce, it has been my honor to lead this organization with you. To thank you and recognize your years of service as chair of the board, I'd like to present you with a gift on behalf of the Chamber as a token of our appreciation. Thank you for your dedication and outstanding leadership of the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce. Before we allow you to end your term as chair of the board, we'd like to ask you to share your chair report one final time.
Thank you, Jack. I am proud of what we have accomplished as a chamber. I am very honored to have led this organization, to have worked with the chamber staff, and with all of you, our members. I have had the privilege of serving as chair since 2018. Since then, there have been many events that we've been active in: a gubernatorial election, a mayoral race, a health crisis, and social unrest, to name a few. Business needed a voice in all of those, and the Chamber served as that voice. It is arduous work to drive an economy, enhance our competitiveness and standing as a city, and deliver a sense of belonging for businesses of all sizes. The return on investment for all of this is providing a place where people want to live, work, and visit, which contributes to our success as a city. That is why I am proud and humbled to be in front of you and to say thank you. Thank you for your work, as well as your support of the Chamber, to make Chicagoland a world-class place to live, work, build a family, invest, grow, and thrive. Together, this is the power that we, the business community, generate to keep our beloved city moving forward. When I began my role as chair, I made it clear that talent and diversity, equity, and inclusion were among my top priorities. As the voice of business, the Chamber has taken a highly active role in advancing DEI and working to end systemic racism. We created a diversity, equity, and inclusion task force led by Ingredions Incorporated, Robin L. Brown, and DLA Piper's Stephen Schwab, which has set a strong foundation and path for the future. DEI is now part of our DNA. Business opportunities for minority and women-owned businesses have increased. Curated programming to educate companies about DEI and hear directly from thought leaders in this space has been put forward. We've been able to highlight and celebrate companies that are effectively advancing DEI within their own organizations. And the Chamber Board of Directors is more diverse, representing nearly every dimension of diversity and the spectrum of businesses across Chicagoland. I am extremely proud of this work and the path we have chosen to take. But as we all know, diversity, equity, and inclusion are a journey, and we must continue and expand these efforts. I look forward to seeing the progress I know the Chamber and business community will continue to make to create institutionalized change. Chicago is an incubator of talent, and as we all know, talent matters to business. Whether it's connecting with our diverse talent pool, building a pipeline of talent, bridging the skills gap through training, or preparing employees for the jobs of tomorrow, the Chamber is your partner. The Emerging Leaders Group, which focuses on developing the next generation of business and civic leaders, continues to grow and is putting forth outstanding programming. A skilled workforce is essential to accelerating our economic recovery, and the Chicagoland Chamber Employer Training Investment Program and Apprenticeship Program are leading the way. They help to expand skills of current employees and develop apprentices with the intention of full-time employment. We are thrilled that the Chamber will continue to receive funds to support these two employer-driven workforce programs, thanks to the support from the Illinois General Assembly's recently passed budget and Governor Pritzker and his Department of Commerce and Economic Opportunity. I encourage each one of you to contact the Chamber and learn how your organization can take advantage of one or more of these talent initiatives. Don't lose out on an opportunity to make a foolproof investment in our most precious resource, our people. The Chamber continues to put the best interests of business first, and we can all thank Jack and the Chamber staff for their dedication and hard work. Getting involved in the Chamber is quite an easy decision. If you're not a member, join. If you're not actively taking part, engage. The returns to your business are large. As chair, I have worked to increase the connections made by our members and deepen our understanding of diverse topics to help businesses innovate and grow. I have also promoted our advocacy efforts, which are crucial to the business community's future success. And I can assure you, the Chamber is fighting daily for pro-business policies. The connections that you make now in the Chamber's voice as the champion of business will help your business grow today and tomorrow. I've made countless connections over the years at Chamber events, which have helped me in my job as well as the company I serve. CIBC continues to invest in the Chamber, and our return is tenfold. That is why we are pleased to serve as presenting sponsor of the 30th Annual Daniel H. Burnham Award Dinner in November. This year's honoree is Chairman and CEO of Mesirow, Richard S. Price. He's an outstanding civic and business leader and an institution of his own in Chicago who is highly deserving of our Burnham Award for Distinguished Leadership. I've been fortunate to be friends with Richard over the years, and I'm thrilled to be able to honor him. I've also been fortunate enough to be the reigning champ for the Chicagoland Chamber Golf Classic. It will return this year on August 31st at the Glen Club, and I look forward to defending my title and seeing all of you. Thank you again for allowing me to serve as your chair and the trust you placed in me over these past 3 years. It's been my honor to serve the entrepreneurs, innovators, and job creators of Chicago. The future is bright, but don't just take my word for it. Here are some of Chicago's prominent business and civic leaders sharing their take on how we can continue to move Chicago forward. Thank you.
Things have come back faster than I thought. Employees are coming back faster than I thought. The economy is coming back faster than I thought. And Chicago it's not where it needs to be yet, but I'm very positive about where it is, where it's going. For our business, a client-focused business, we still need to be, in the office more than never to grow our business, to get the kind of collaboration we need to win mandates and figure out what our clients need. We need to be together. We also recently announced a $10 million contribution to basically be the funder for the Rush BMO Health Equity Institute. That's a big deal for us. There's so many people in the neighborhoods that don't have the same access to health care that we do. It's our job to understand the issues and fix them. That's critical for the business community to get around these issues, to help the political side, and to address them. And that's what's so great about Chicago.
I'm really proud of the pivot that we were able to make as part of the pandemic. The frontline employees, the ones out engaging our customers, really had to reinvent their work practices and reinvent themselves overnight. because one day with unsafe gas service is one day too many. Chicago was a destination for the relocations of corporations, and it's because of that great corporate community that exists that welcome other corporations. The real strength is the attraction of the young people. We have young talent that comes to Chicago that corporations clearly like to come here and have to be part of their team. So we need to continue to leverage the young people that we've attracted to Chicago.
Thankfully, our business and professional services in general have held up strong, a lot of it because the economy has held up strongly, and it will be dependent on creating opportunities for these younger people. 75% of the people that work for us are 30 years of age or younger, and mentoring is a big part of what we do. And I think we as a firm, and I know we as a firm right now are defining, okay, what are the points where people need to come together to work together to create those mentoring opportunities and teaching moments for the younger people in our organization? And when is it okay for them to go and work in a dispersed environment? Personally, I would like to see the business leaders in Chicago come together and work collaboratively with the governor and the mayor to help solve the issue. Just imagine the power of all the business leaders in the city working collaboratively with the governor and the mayor. I think we can overcome any obstacle if we're all working together.
Thank you again to all the presidents and CEOs who joined us to share their perspectives and their optimism for the future of Chicagoland. More to come throughout the program. Like these leaders, our next speaker is bullish on the future of the state. He's the chief executive of the great state of Illinois, Governor J.B. Pritzker. I was able to get to know the governor well through the creation of an early-stage venture capital seed fund and the Chicagoland Entrepreneurial Center, which is now known as 1871. You may be intrigued to know that the Chicagoland Entrepreneurial Center was incubated by the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce. So we continue to be champions of 1871 and the ever-growing technology community. While not a global pandemic, I served at the highest levels of Illinois state government during the Great Recession and understand how gut-wrenching and difficult decisions made during these times can be. Governor Pritzker, thank you for your steadfast leadership, particularly in this past year. Thank you for giving us the roadmap to Phase 5 so our businesses could plan and look towards the future. Thank you also for the communication and resources you and your administration provided our members over the past year and a half, particularly for our small businesses through programs like the Business Interruption Grant Program and for our job training programs. On behalf of the Chicagoland Chamber and the entire business community, Governor Pritzker, we are grateful for your commitment to making Illinois a great place to live and do business. I am thrilled you could join us today. Please welcome my friend, Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Hello, this is Governor J.B. Pritzker. Thank you all for attending the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce's 117th annual meeting of membership. Year after year, your support for businesses across Chicago has helped make this region a world-class place to live, work, and visit. After an incredibly difficult year, the resilience of this region is why we've seen new businesses relocate or expand their operations here. It's why we've seen the rapid development of an electric vehicle industry in our state. It's why Illinois now leads the Midwest in the creation of new business startups. And it's why we're on track for a strong recovery that offers opportunity to all of our residents. As we all know, this city comes alive in the summertime. The pandemic impeded that last year, but as more and more people get vaccinated, we're seeing recovery everywhere. From the auto show returning to McCormick Place, to Navy Piers reopening, to the return of baseball and fans in the stands, Chicago is starting to look like the city we all know and love once again. Just as importantly, our safe reopening means jobs. It means more hotel and hospitality and recreation workers getting to go back to work. It means visitors and residents alike can safely explore the amazing sights that this region has to offer. supporting the economy of Chicagoland along the way. I'm excited for even brighter days ahead.
Thank you, Governor Pritzker, for joining us today and your support of the business community. We are grateful for your leadership and your optimism for the future. Thank you again to Mayor Lightfoot for joining us at the top of our program and for your leadership as we reopen Chicago. I also want to thank the sponsors for our annual meeting. Presenting sponsor, AT&T and Eileen Mitchell. Event sponsors, BDO USA and Steve Ferrara. PNC Bank and Scott Swanson and Shane Print. And United Airlines and Dan Lynch. And our founder sponsors, Adtalem Global Education and Mary Lynn Bender, and Walgreens and Donovan Pepper. Our innovator sponsors, our patron sponsors, and our champion sponsors. Thank you for your continued support and partnership. I would also like to thank the entire Chamber staff for their tireless work to support our members and advance Chicago's economic growth. Their hard work, determination, and creativity have helped us reimagine the work of the Chamber. Finally, I want to thank my wife, Kathy Lavin, for tuning in. Kathy is the CEO of Gateway to Learning, a great organization and a Chamber member. I could not do the job I do without all her support. We just celebrated our son Michael's college graduation and a new full-time job. It's every parent's dream for their children, to get a job and move out of the house. Now that is worth celebrating. This afternoon, however, we are here to celebrate the business community. In a year when there have been many challenges, the business community has persevered, progress has been made, and the Chamber is celebrating 117 years today. A year ago, we faced a global pandemic, an economic crisis filled with unknowns, and social unrest demanding long overdue systemic changes. The Chamber convened its own Economic Recovery Task Force, chaired by Bruce Lubin, Robin Brown, and Joe Dominguez. Many of you participated in this important work. The goal was simple: accelerate Chicagoland's economic recovery and get people back to work. We took the Chicago Pledge to hire locally, buy locally, and invest locally, and to listen and learn to make Chicago a more equitable and inclusive city. This provided a roadmap for the past year, and we have made great progress. We convened the CEOs of transit agencies and conducted multiple surveys and roundtables with you, all to help our workers trust transit and put Chicago's commuters back on track. Our Healthcare Council provided thought leadership on vaccinations, health disparities, and deferred care due to the pandemic. Our Tech Council discussed the role of tech in reopening, and our mid-market program looked at the future of the office after COVID-19. Our talent programs worked with over 100 companies and trained more than 3,300 workers in industries such as manufacturing, healthcare, financial and professional services, and cannabis, along with a focus on new protocols due to COVID. Our small business programs were resolute in working with the SBA and DCO to find more resources for our businesses to survive and reopen. We conducted digital marketing training for Black and Brown-owned businesses to thrive in a new virtual economy. We partnered with Facebook for scholarships and training and held a roundtable with Sheryl Sandberg and our small businesses. We also listened and learned. Our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Task Force led discussions on banking relationships and protecting your business in uncertain times, as well as creating a culture of conscious inclusion. Thanks to Robert Blackwell, we partnered with the Business Leadership Council on an initiative to just do business and create an ecosystem to connect Black-owned businesses with large companies like Mesro, AT&T, and many others. And we helped bring together Chicago's civic organizations for a conversation about Juneteenth. The Chamber also hosted Superintendent David Brown, who outlined the city's plan to focus on public safety and rebuilding trust. We had Senator Tammy Duckworth, Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, and Dr. Ngozi Ezike, among many other state and local leaders, to address Chamber members on public resources and policies for economic recovery. Our membership team found new technologies to keep us connected in our new virtual reality. Our exchange, connection clubs, and March Matchmaking Madness helped our members make more than 1,000 connections virtually. The Chamber helped lead Mayor Lightfoot's task force on the future of the Central City, which just released its Central City Recovery Roadmap. And we never stopped advocating for you. We worked with the city, state, and congressional delegation to provide more financial resources and regulatory relief to help with economic recovery. In the Illinois General Assembly's lame duck session, we led the opposition to Illinois becoming a prejudgment interest state and against the firefighters' pension sweetener. This spring, we led the fight to expand the data center industry and led a coalition to double the size of the film industry in Illinois while diversifying its talent pipeline. We continue to fight for pension reform and against Assessor Kagi's shift of the property tax burden to the business community. We have accomplished much over this past year. New connections with virtual technology, thought leadership to move us through the health, economic, and social challenges, and advocacy to be the champion of business as it fights for fiscal reforms and to reopen and get people back to work. As we enter Phase 5 and work to reopen our economy, there are many challenges ahead, and the voice of business is more important than ever and must be heard, especially as we enter an election year. That is why, over the next year, we will engage our corporate leaders and CEOs on key policy issues like pensions, property taxes, infrastructure, public safety, and diversity, equity, and inclusion. The solutions to these pressing issues will significantly impact the growth of our economy, our population, and our quality of life. And of course, we will continue to focus on reopening the economy. We will support our industries devastated by the pandemic, and we will build new partnerships to help our small businesses and entrepreneurs make new connections and find new resources to grow and create jobs. Today, I am doubling down on our commitment to you, to be the champion for pro-growth business policies, to stay in constant communication and make the connections you need, and to provide you with the programs and thought leadership to navigate the road ahead. I am excited and extremely optimistic about the year ahead and the future of the Chicago business community. We are strong, we are resilient, we are innovative, and we will ensure economic opportunity reaches every corner and neighborhood throughout Chicagoland. We are a community of businesses, but more importantly, we are a community of people, a community of the hardworking people who have made this city the best in the world. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for your partnership, and thank you for your continued investment in the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce.
The most important finding of the 2021 barometer is that for the first time, business is the most trusted institution. It's the only one seen as both ethical and competent. In fact, my employer is the most trusted institution by far, so there's big responsibilities on CEOs to speak up on issues of the day, from systemic racism to sustainability. We have a really important 10-year period here where business is going to have to lead change. And it's not the usual thing. But again, in our trust study, we found on 8 areas, business is much more believable than government. And so business has to lead. And this is a time for action and not words. Don't do performative things. Do real substantive change. Put more people of diverse backgrounds into management and on boards. Make sure that diverse people are in your supply chain, especially in small business. Make sure that you're recruiting from HBCUs and other places which are not traditional. We have a big moment in time here. We are totally committed to Chicago as our co-global headquarters. It's got the obvious benefits of transportation hub and all the rest, but it also has a level of quality of people who come from the universities, who come here from the Midwest, and they are uniquely brilliant about the American mentality. And I think that all companies, if they're foreign-based companies, should consider Chicago as a headquarters, because it really best, in a certain way, represents the problems and the opportunities of this wonderful country.
There's so many reasons to feel positive about the future of Chicago. It's a place where people really want to be. The restaurants, entertainment, food, we really have it all here in Chicago. We have great universities, medical systems, and so many other things. Being in the Midwest, in the center of the country, really makes us important for logistics and transportation. I think that's one of the reasons Amazon put their fulfillment center in Pullman. That's a community where U.S. Bank has invested more than $120 million over the last decade. Chicago's business community is extremely civic-minded and involved. And when you have everyone pulling together for the sake of a community, I think that's a winning recipe. But U.S. Bank and many other banks have worked to support companies through the PPP loans, other small business lending. We're also seeing many banks step up to do more to address racial and economic inequities. And U.S. Bank has committed $116 million and introduced a new program we're calling U.S. Bank Access Commitment. And that really is our long-term approach to building wealth and redefining how we serve diverse communities.
I think the whole world of construction right now is pretty exciting. With a new administration in the White House, a new infrastructure bill that's going to get put on the table here in the next session, and all of the great work that's happening around the city of Chicago, economies are booming. Historically, a lot of focus has always been put on the central business district, right, and less on the outer skirts of the city. I grew up in the outer skirts of the city on the south and west sides of Chicago. So it's important for me as a business person to invest in those communities. The mayor has put out the Invest Southwest opportunities that we've been able to participate in. Those type of opportunities bring real jobs back into the community. And if you ever want to see those communities thrive, you have to put businesses there. You have to get good people, good jobs. And then that's when the dynamic of the community starts to change.
The landscape has changed, and not for the last time. The rules of business are being reinvented with a more flexible workforce, by embracing innovation, by looking not only at current opportunities, but ahead to future ones. Resilience is the ability to pivot again and again for whatever happens next.
People who know BDO. This is the front door.
Here's the living room.
The hallway that takes us to
the kitchen.
The bedroom.
Oh, and of course, where we spend most of our time.
The backyard.
Hello, everyone. I'm Doreen Burr, Senior Vice President of Worldwide Sales at United Airlines. As Chicago's hometown airline, we're proud to partner with the Chicagoland Chamber as we look towards the post-pandemic future. In many respects, as goes Chicago, goes United. As a business and cultural hub and a crossroads for international travel, the optimism we see around Chicago's resurgence is echoed in our outlook as an airline. There's no downplaying the impact of the pandemic. It has dramatically changed so much, but has also given us pause to rethink what the future will look like. And I'm here to tell you that the future of United, and United in Chicago specifically, is bright. One major change we've made as a result of the pandemic is to reimagine our health and safety protocols with the launch of United's Clean Plus and more. But we're not stopping there. We're making travel better and easier. We've introduced technology like our Travel Ready Center, where you can upload your vaccine and testing records, check entry requirements, and head to the airport more confident that your documentation is ready to go. Simply put, we're taking the stress out of the process. We've also led the way in becoming the first U.S. global airline to eliminate change fees, and we have pledged to go 100% green by 2050 by reducing 100% of our greenhouse gas emissions. We're making sustainability the new standard in flight, not just by leading our industry, but also by collaborating with other industries towards real solutions and lasting change. As borders open and travel resumes, we'll be well prepared to welcome you throughout our network. But our operation this summer in Chicago is particularly exciting. By our July schedule, we'll have nearly 500 flights a day at O'Hare, and not just to long-standing destinations such as Sao Paulo and London, but also new cities like Reykjavik, Iceland, and Kona in Hawaii. And we're just getting started. Throughout the pandemic, we've learned a lot about resilience, and we're channeling that strength into an effort you all know well. That's getting back to business. Never before has our company goal of connecting people and uniting the world been so relevant. Thank you for your time today, and we look forward to welcoming you on board soon.
It has been my great honor to serve as chair of the board of directors for this prestigious organization. As I mentioned earlier, I am proud what we as a chamber have accomplished. I want to especially thank the executive committee of the board for their persistence and determination to push business forward. I look forward to seeing the many accomplishments this organization will have now and in the future. I have one last act as chair that I must fulfill, which is arguably one of the most important: introducing my successor, your next chair of the board. Through an early voting process via email, it is my honor to announce that Kevin Cassidy, Chief Growth Officer for Healthcare Service Corporation, as the new chair of the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce. He has served as vice chair of the chamber since 2016 and has been an active member of our board's executive committee. Kevin and Healthcare Service Corporation and its company, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, have been big investors in the chamber. In fact, Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois has been a chamber member since 1940. Kevin has been extremely active in the chamber, serving on our Economic Recovery Task Force and Chamber Value Proposition Committee. He has been a strong advocate and cheerleader for the chamber and the entire business community. He was key to the success of our most recent Daniel H. Burnham Award dinner. Kevin understands the importance of investing in both our neighborhoods and the downtown, and how markets, jobs, and quality of life can grow as a result. I should also mention he is a Chicagoan, born and raised, and also serves as the board chair for the Ambassador Board of Mercy Home for Boys and Girls. He has been a great partner on the executive committee and will be a great chair for the organization. Please join me in welcoming the incoming chair of the board of directors of the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, Kevin Cassidy. As a tradition of the chamber, please allow me to pass the gavel and ask you to accept the role of chair of the board.
Thank you. Thank you, Bruce, for your stewardship and commitment to the business community and your guidance and friendship. You will be a tough act to follow with all that you've accomplished over the past 3 years. I'd also like to thank Jack Lavin and the entire chamber team. Under his leadership, the chamber has continued to double down on its priorities: connections, advocacy, and thought leadership, and continues to represent more than 1,000 businesses across Chicagoland. Thank you, Jack, and the chamber staff for all you do. I'd like to also thank the board of directors and executive committee for your leadership. As Bruce mentioned, I've had the privilege to serve on the board and executive committee for the past 5 years. And while I've been involved in many organizations, this is one of the most committed group of individuals I've worked with. We will continue to make this global city a great place to live, work, and play, with equity and inclusion at the forefront. I am honored to serve as your next chair. At Healthcare Service Corporation, I am Chief Growth Officer. At the chamber, that will be no different. We will work together to make more connections, to grow your business, fight for pro-growth policies, and provide innovative thought leadership to achieve equitable growth of Chicago's economy, both in the neighborhoods and the central business district. When businesses thrive, it's good for the city, but it's when businesses thrive in the right places that they can have a force multiplier effect on the economy. That is why I'm very proud of the investments that Healthcare Service Corporation has done to put more than 500 jobs in the South Lawndale, Pullman, and Morgan Park neighborhoods. This is exactly what I encourage all of you, the leaders who have a seat at the table, to do and help Chicago become the economic engine for the country. I am grateful for this opportunity and look forward to working with all of you as we continue to make no little plans. Together, we will come out of the pandemic and rebuild our economy and city, ensuring it is more inclusive, more vibrant, and more prepared for the future. Thank you for joining us today and investing in this important organization that gives so much back to our great city. The Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce is poised to do great things in its 117th year and beyond. Thank you.
I'm very bullish about the next year and a half as it relates to the Chicagoland area. I mean, if you think about the special set of tools and assets that this city has in place, from the business community to the arts and entertainment industry and our school systems and the talent pool that we have to draw from, it's an amazing set of tools and assets. I think there is an expectation that the business community in Chicago will be engaged at all levels. And if it's something that's going to impact the overall direction of the city and have a significant impact on not only the communities around the city, but the inner workings of the business community in the downtown area, that the Chicago business community has always found a way, especially through organizations like the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, to engage and to make sure that it has a seat at the table when resolving issues. We're seeing the return of domestic leisure travel now. It's at levels that were comparable to 2019. What we're starting to see now, which is critically important for us, is the business travel to return. And that's a bit of the getting back to normal operations in downtown Chicago as well. We're starting to see that pick up. We think that people are critically focused on developing those relationships again, getting back face-to-face meetings. And as we see our institutions opening back up downtown, the museums, the restaurants, everyone enthusiastically getting back to the new normal, we fully expect that travel will follow.
Right now, we're at about 80% open already, which is ahead of where we thought we'd be. We thought we'd only get there by the end of summer. So I have little doubt that vibrant on-premise and restaurant environment will be back in Chicago in the not too distant future. So I've lived in multiple cities around the world, 14 of them in different cities. And what sets the Chicago community, business community apart is their civic-minded focus. And that suits us perfectly as we try and put our people first. It's our number one value, which means investing in our people, and it means investing in our communities. There's a huge pent-up demand from consumers to get back into bars and restaurants, and that's going to be really good for our products. The beginning of the pandemic, folk migrated back to big trusted brands like Miller Lite and Coors Light, and we're seeing that in the on-premise outlets that have come back. And we're gaining share with both of those brands and Blue Moon. So it's important to us. Chicago is important to us from that perspective, and we're excited to get back to normal.
I think there's nowhere else to go but up. It's going to be amazing, and people are so excited about visiting MSI Chicago and other businesses around Chicago. I feel like getting people out and about is really important to build the economics of our city, of our small businesses, our local businesses, also for the city to thrive. We are so excited about partnering with the Obama Center through programs, through ticket exchanges, through outdoor activities. We want to activate the South Side of Chicago. We are proud partners of the Chamber, and we appreciate all of the work and the efforts that they help us to thrive and survive during this period of COVID. And we are excited about the resources they're going to provide for our future. I think the biggest thing that we've learned is that we all need each other, and togetherness is really critical. And what I love about Chicago is that our community sticks together, and we will prevail, but we'll have to work together to do it.
Okay, class, did you know outer space is so big, we don't know where it starts or even where it ends? And in all of that, in all of the universe, the most complex thing ever discovered is the human brain.
AT&T keeps kids and teachers connected so the learning never stops.
Let's jump in. Now, who wants to look inside the brain?
Good afternoon. I'm Eileen Mitchell, president of AT&T Illinois and the Great Lakes States. AT&T is delighted to serve as the presenting sponsor of the annual meeting of the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce. At AT&T, we love Chicago, and today, as we're moving forward from the pandemic together, we're excited to help people and businesses enjoy new opportunities and make new connections throughout Chicago. Because at AT&T, that's what we do. We create connections. You know, one thing we all learned last year was the power of connection, the critical need to stay digitally connected to our work, school, family, and friends. It was a year that showed how broadband connectivity is essential for all Americans. Our broadband networks rose to the challenge of the pandemic, in part due to policies that promoted private sector investment in multiple technologies and networks. Still, there are too many families and school children across America who don't have broadband connectivity today. That's why at AT&T we're investing in and expanding the reach of our broadband networks, while also advocating for effective and sustainable public policy that helps close the digital divide. At AT&T, our work helps create connection with each other, with what people need to thrive in their everyday lives, and with the stories and experiences that matter. To help more people connect, AT&T recently announced we will invest $2 billion over the next 3 years to help address the digital divide. This renewed commitment to the communities we serve combines AT&T's low-cost broadband service offerings with community investment, including investment here in Chicago. Through our Believe Chicago initiative, since 2017, AT&T has helped residents of Chicago's South and West Sides by hiring more than 650 residents, providing 40 student internships, supporting mental health and resiliency efforts, and AT&T and the AT&T Foundation have contributed more than $7 million to support more than 100 organizations helping residents. AT&T is creating connections for underserved neighborhoods, for families and students, and for the people and businesses of Chicago. Now, it's my great privilege to make a connection to our moderator-in-chief and our keynote speaker. Val Warner is host of ABC7 Chicago's popular talk and entertainment show, Windy City Live. And Valerie Jarrett is president of the Obama Foundation and a senior distinguished fellow at the University of Chicago Law School. Val, take it away.
Thank you, Eileen, and AT&T, and of course, the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce for having us here today, and thank you all for tuning in. I am really excited to be a part of this keynote today with Valerie Jarrett, president of the Obama Foundation and a senior distinguished fellow at the University of Chicago Law School. She was the senior advisor to President Barack Obama from 2009 to 2017, making her the longest serving senior advisor to a president in history. She oversaw the offices of public engagement and intergovernmental affairs and chaired the White House Council on Women and Girls. Valerie is the author of the New York Times best-selling book, Finding My Voice, My Journey to the West Wing and the Path Forward, published in April of 2019. She serves as board chairman of Civic Nation, co-chair of the United States of Women, and senior advisor to Attention. She also serves on the boards of several organizations, including some that are chamber members, Walgreens Boot Alliance, Lyft, and Ariel Investments. Ladies and gentlemen, Valerie Jarrett. Valerie, so good to be here with you today.
Welcome to my backyard. I'm so delighted to be home in Chicago. If you find me here tomorrow, just put a blanket over me because I think I want to just stay here for a little while and enjoy this beautiful Chicago weather. You brought the sun out.
I'm telling you, you know Chicago. It could change tomorrow, but right now it's gorgeous.
Yeah, let's enjoy that. So why don't we get into it? You've been a lifelong Chicagoan. You keep coming back here. You stay here. The dog and your mom right in the window over my shoulder. Why do you stay here in Chicago?
I love Chicago. First of all, it's home. My family's here. I grew up here. I have deep roots here. I know this city inside and out. And so the level of familiarity, every time I'm in a plane and it touches down at O'Hare or Midway, I just like breathe a sigh of relief to be back home. It's a great city, it's a vibrant city, it's a diverse city, richly diverse city. Doesn't mean it doesn't have its challenges, as all cities do, but there's just no place like home.
There is no place like home. And in your home, you are now the president of the Obama Foundation, and you are working very closely in the development of the Obama Presidential Center, which we are so excited to hear details about. So why don't you tell us, in your role now in the day-to-day operations of the Obama Foundation, what can we expect? Where are we? Give us all of the details.
Well, this is going to be a very big year for the Obama Foundation. As you know, it's going to be located right next to the Museum of Science and Industry in Jackson Park. And I have to say, having grown up here in South Kenwood and having ridden my bike throughout the park and over to the Point, and my parents used to drop me at the Museum of Science and Industry. It was my babysitter growing up. This just is like the Obama Center coming back to my neighborhood. And so we're so excited. It's going to be on 19.3 acres. It'll be a real campus. So not only is it not just the museum that tells the story of both President and Michelle Obama, their roots and how they ended up in the White House and the story of those 8 years, but also importantly, Val, the road ahead. And so we break ground in the fall. We're very excited about that. We have all of the approvals.
Like we've been talking about it for forever.
I know, but we went through a very technical and detailed process to get the federal approvals, the cities on board, the states on board. We've had a lot of cooperation from both Governor Pritzker and Mayor Lightfoot. Our local aldermen have been really supportive. And so now really we're ready to break ground, and it's a 4-year construction project, but we're going to have pieces of it done right away. So for example, the city's out there now doing the infrastructure work. We're going to have a track and field prepared by the fall. And in fact, at the beginning of June, President Obama showed up in Chicago unexpectedly, and he went over and watched the guys practicing at their football, and they were like, oh my, is that the president? And he met with some young men who were part of his Becoming My Brother's Keeper initiative, from Becoming a Man, here at Hyde Park High School. And some of them he had met 8 years ago when he first went and visited the program. And to see them grown, a couple of them are parents now, and they talked about how they want to be the kind of dads they didn't have. And then he stopped in South Shore and visited with a bunch of small businesses from the neighborhood who are hiring, who made it through the COVID without closing their doors because they had local support. And those are going to be our partners. And so bringing this mega project to the South Side, when I grew up thinking that I thought the South Side was special, but I watched the disinvestment and the allocation of resources that went north. They didn't come south the way they should have. And now there's a real opportunity to give the neighborhood that they call home, that Michelle Obama grew up not far from where the site is located. And so it's coming full circle for them too.
It really is, and I think that's so important that you touched on that, considering that there was at one point opposition from the community thinking like, how are we going to involve? You addressed all of that. You addressed why it was intentional to be on the South Side, and that had to have taken a lot of thought process to even decide this is where we want to go in Jackson Park.
Yes, well, I think the way they looked at it is, first of all, they wanted to come to Chicago for all the reasons I love Chicago. They met here. Michelle Obama grew up here. He began his career as a community organizer on the South Side, and I think they really wanted to give back to a city who had given so much to them and to invest right here. And I think the lakefront was important because, look, this is a presidential center. This is the first time that we've had a president from Chicago, and so we have to celebrate his accomplishments, but also create this laboratory to change the next generation of leaders. Fortunately, the Obamas are still very young, and so they have a lot left to do, and they want to help give those young people the tools that they need to go around the world and change their communities. And so I think I always like to say, look, not only are we going to bring the world to Chicago, but we're going to take Chicago around the world.
Yeah, I love that. And talk a little bit more, elaborate on how Chicago will benefit. And we're not talking about just the South Side. All of Chicago will benefit from having the Obama Presidential Center here.
You're absolutely right, Val. So 750,000 visitors are what we estimate a year. So that's tourism, so it's hotels and it's transportation and it's restaurants. And we want to give folks a roadmap to the amazing restaurants on the South Side, but we recognize that our city is full of restaurants. We're a city of neighborhoods. Any kind of food you could possibly want, you could find right here. So if people visit from around the world, they can find their own ethnic food right here in Chicago, right? Or they can taste some of our food, right? And so having those options for them. We have committed to hire not only the city's requirement, residency requirement, but 35% of the people who are going to be on the construction jobs, Val, will live on the south and west side. We want to make sure that the people who are going to be benefiting from this center are the ones who live in this neighborhood. And we're working already now with pre-apprentice programs, because if you think about it, it's 4-year training. We want to make sure that they're, getting the training as we go along, and that the entire city should be proud to have people wanting to come from the world over and learn about President and Mrs. Obama. I think it's really very cool.
I think we're beginning to be in sync, because you already answered my next 3 questions in that answer, because I wanted to ask you about the impact in the surrounding neighborhoods, but you said just that. And that is so critical in the fact that it's happening and it's here and it's now, and that's what folks should be excited about. So let's talk about how the business community can get involved.
Yes. Well, so many different ways. So first of all, financially supporting it and feeling an ownership interest in it. We want the businesses who have hotels and restaurants, et cetera, to market the center and encourage people to visit, just as we're going to be encouraging people to, buy in Chicago. When you're here, spend your money here. What we don't want to have happen, and we've designed this site accordingly, is for people to just come, park their car, go inside, and then go back in their car and leave. We want to make it easier for them to visit the businesses in the surrounding community. And in return, we want the businesses to feel a sense of ownership here. Obviously, in the wake of George Floyd's murder and so many other Black people, we have seen, on a very positive note, an awakening around the country, a realization that there has still a lot of work that needs to be done for racial justice in our country. And that's not just between the police and the Black community. As we know, they're a microcosm of society. And so the question that I've been hearing in my boardrooms and from my colleagues who serve on boards is, what can the business community do to improve the trajectory of the lives of boys and girls of color? What can we do to create opportunity, those ladders of opportunity? We know that talent is ubiquitous. Opportunity is not.
Hello.
And so the businesses in Chicago, in the Chicagoland area, we want them to start thinking today, what are you doing for summer internships? What are you doing to mentor young kids? If I think about the young men that President Obama had met 8 years ago and just spent 45 minutes, and yesterday they said he changed their life. He changed their life. And you don't have to be president of the United States. If you are running a business or a branch of a business and you invite some young people in and you say, the algebra that you're taking, it translates into this. The engineering class that you've been ducking, well, look what you could do with that degree. People can't be what they can't see. And the business community in Chicago, I think, one of its strengths, and I've seen cities the world over, and one of our strengths right here in Chicago is our business community. It's diverse, it's civically engaged like no other city I know. And so we want them to say, what is our responsibility to the south and west sides of Chicago? What more could we do? And in so doing, they will be supporting the Obama Center, because that's President and Mrs. Obama's vision. That's the heart of what they want to do, is to help create those opportunities and give people the tools to have an impact. And what you were mentioning earlier in terms of the benefits for the community, Val, you have to be intentional. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to spend a lot of money, I'm going to build a building, and I hope it works. You have to partner with the community, which means you have to go out and listen to them and hear what their hopes and dreams are. And several weeks ago, President Obama also dropped in a Zoom with some of the students from Hyde Park, from South Shore High School. And they are so proud to have the Obama Center in their backyard practically. And they said, look, we want to come and visit the site. They're going to have a public library on the site, the Obamas will. Why? Because he wants young children and old people from the surrounding community to feel like that's their community library, right on a part of the campus. That's all about intentionally sending a message to the community that we want to be a part of you, not an island, but a partner.
And there are lots of businesses that are tuning in here with us today, and you mentioned things that they could be doing now. Is there anything that they should think about for the future in 4 years when it's all said and done?
Well, think about how they want to help, how they think that the Obama Center could also help their businesses. How can we cross-market? How can we draw people not just who live in Chicago, but who live all over the world, and give them a view of the city that you don't always see on the national or the international news, right? I mean, so much of what you hear about in Chicago, and you and I we did a whole show on gun violence in Chicago. And that's oftentimes what people hear, and there's so much more to Chicago than that. We know that. And so thinking today of how we market for the future is something that I know the Chicagoland Chamber has a lot of businesses that can be thinking right now, okay, because we want to have a kind of a lead up to the groundbreaking in the fall, and then throughout the construction we want to be able to say, okay, this is what we've delivered, this is what's going on, this is what's new that you can see. And by 4 years from now, when we open those doors, people should walk in the door and go, yeah, that's the brick, that's my brick, that's my, cafe, that's my this, I did that.
Exactly, and just build on that momentum. Yes. I think when we do have that groundbreaking, look at I'm a part of the Obama Presidential Center.
It's working.
It's working. It is absolutely working because it is for Chicago. And I love what you said about making sure that Chicago is represented on a national and international stage in the way that you and I see it.
Yes.
And not what's portrayed on the news all the time.
Which means you have to get intimate with people. They have to know you. They have to understand the story of why, with all of the parts of the country where they could have put this center. And believe me, a lot of folks wanted this Obama Center, outside of Chicago. But I don't think there was any doubt in the Obamas that it would be not only here, but on the South Side.
Yeah, I can't imagine them thinking about any other place other than Chicago. That didn't even cross their minds, I'm sure. Okay, well, Chicago's emerging out of a pandemic and, of course, as we both mentioned, other challenges. What are your hopes or concerns for our city?
Look, Chicago, like many big cities, financially strapped. People want great quality public education, but that means your taxes go up. People want to know that the police are there to serve and protect, but do we spend enough money training them and making sure that they have the tools they need? And do we spend money for, social services? Because oftentimes police come when you don't really need the police, you need someone else. All that costs money. And I think that, Chicago is a great place to live in a lot of the city, but there are some parts of the city that are really struggling. And part of what we have to do is recognize that situation didn't happen overnight, and we need long-term solutions. We need to give people hope. We need to give them the knowledge that if you go get that good education and you work hard, that there'll be a good paying job waiting for you on the other end. Back decades ago when I worked in the city, I saw a lot of job training programs that were for, we don't make widgets anymore. We need these young children to be technologically proficient. And I think the businesses could really help. Adopt a school. Go in there and work with the principal. Invite the young people to come to your place of business and give them a tour, show them what it could be like. And so I worry that what are we going to do with the fact that the financial conditions that we're in are really challenging, and the problems that we have require resources, which means that some of us are going to have to pay a little bit more in taxes. And the thought after, you saw this during the pandemic, when Americans were waiting in food lines, when people were worried about being evicted from their homes, when small businesses were shuttered all around our city. Well, we have to build back from there, and we should do it recognizing the incredible disparities that have existed for far too long. And what are we going to do to close those gaps? And that's something that could begin right now today.
Yeah, Valerie, what gives you hope?
What gives me hope? I'll tell you, young people. Oh my goodness, when I spend some time, just their imagination, their sense of I can do anything, that they're so idealistic, and I know that those ideals are going to be dashed with time. And that's what you and I have talked about before, Val. 30 years ago, when I started working in local government for Mayor Harold Washington, it was this sense of being a part of something bigger than myself. And young people understand that, and they feel, first of all, they're so much smarter, better organized, better connected than my generation was. So they're starting out light years ahead. And so what we want to do is to give them the resources in terms of tools that they need to keep that hopeful spirit and to see the concrete results, but also, and this is what I always say to young people, and I sound so old now, listen to me. I say to these young people is,
oh, I do it too.
Change doesn't happen overnight. No, I was just looking up how long the boycott lasted in Montgomery. 381 days. So we think about the demonstrations last summer, which were amazing, and people are frustrated because change hasn't happened everywhere we might have wanted it to. But President Obama last summer called on the nation's mayors to look at their use of force And well over 300 mayors took action. And you don't hear about that also in the news. And so trying to figure out what can we do on the ground, one neighborhood at a time, one street, one block club at a time, it can make a big difference. Well, we have major employers all over the city who could be looking at parts of our city that have been disinvested and saying, all right, you know what, I see the future, and so let me invest today, knowing the neighborhood will grow and people will spend money, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
People will spend their money if you produce something that they want. And so figuring out, well, what do they want and how can we find those opportunities and those jewels in Chicago that have been undiscovered.
I love that. You've been involved in the business community in Chicago for many, many years, and of course you've traveled the globe. What sets Chicago's business community apart from others?
Yeah, there's civic engagement. Simple. I have never seen a city with the business community, whether it's the local chambers of commerce, the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, who say, I care about the city and I want to give back. And so all the things that I was saying that we want business to do, oftentimes they are doing that. And that is unusual. That's not the case in any other city. I've lived in DC, I've lived in New York, I've spent time in every major city in this country. And I don't know a business community more engaged civically than ours. If you look at the boards of our museums, our hospitals, the opera, the symphony, you name it, all of our major institutions are all populated by the business community. And so encouraging those institutions, when we sit on those boards, to also think about how to give back to the city is really important too.
Right. Of course, I could not leave you without talking about your years, the longest amount of time serving as a senior advisor to the president. What were the challenges that you faced from 2009 to 2017 in that role?
Oh my goodness gracious. Well, you know what I learned? Time was our most precious commodity. Most you could serve are 8 years. And you know, I waited till the last day. I waved goodbye to the Obamas. They left before I did. Secret Service is like, girl, you got to get out of here. So I got there while they were at the parade and I stayed till they left. But you know, you only have a finite amount of time. And so being organized and disciplined and having a process and a structure so that we maximize the use of his time, and we brought ideas and policies to him when they had been thoroughly thought through by our policy councils, that was really challenging. And figuring out, well, what are the priorities? What's the art of the possible? You know, what can we get done? And what, unfortunately, you leave without getting finished. And there are a lot of things that I wished we could have finished. But then you turn the baton over and you hope that the next person picks up and runs with it. Well, that didn't happen in the direction we were going for 4 years. But now you asked me what I'm hopeful about. I'm also hopeful about the Biden-Harris administration, to know many of my former colleagues are in the White House working as a team. And when we first started, President Obama said, as I had the best players on the field, but at the end of the first term, he had the best team. And I think President Biden is starting with the team. And that gives him a leg up, which will hopefully enable him to pick up the baton from the work that we didn't finish and move forward.
All right, lightning round of questions.
Okay,
Enough
be fast.
of the heavy, hard stuff.
All right.
Cubs or Sox?
White Sox. I'm from the South Side. Come on. You can't be from the... All right, that's enough.
Okay.
White Sox.
Prediction for the Bears?
You know what? I'm always hopeful. I'm always hopeful.
You are eternally
right?
optimistic.
Well, because I still remember I was pregnant the last time they really won. So that's 3.5 decades ago.
Wow. Okay. So then we're gonna make it to the playoffs.
Let's hope. Let's hope. We got to root.
Super Bowl.
I hope so.
Okay.
I hope so. Don't you remember that Super Bowl shuffle? We can dust that out and bring it back out again.
We can, and some of the players too, possibly. Okay. Favorite Chicago sports team?
Oh, Chicago Bulls.
The Bulls.
Yeah. You know what? Because my daughter was growing up when we won those 6 championships. She started at age 6 and ended at 12. And when she was 13, she said, aren't we going to go to the championship? I said, honey, we didn't make it this year. I thought we always made it.
Right. That's all she knew.
That's all she knew. So those reminds me of her youth.
Favorite book right now?
Well, now I can't say, because 2 of my favorite people have both written books this year and within the last year. So don't ask me to choose between the Obamas. Those are 2 of my favorite books.
Okay, very smart answer. Very smart answer. Favorite hobby or things to do?
Hanging out in my backyard with my family.
I was gonna say
there's
it's
nothing.
Gotta be out here.
I can't say gardening. My mom does the gardening, but every Sunday we have Sunday dinner with our whole family It's 20 to 30 people every Sunday.
Every Sunday?
Every Sunday. We've been doing it since my grandmother did it when I was growing up.
How's that possible? There are families that can't get together once a month.
We just look forward to seeing each other every Sunday. The kids come, it's all generations, could be 4 generations. And my mom just kind of like, now she bosses everybody around, but she used to do all the cooking. And
that was my next
now
question.
we all help out. But to sit on the deck and just see the kids, watch them grow up, and I'm an only child, and so my best friends are my cousins.
Yeah. Favorite Chicago neighborhood? I think this is going to be easy.
I love this neighborhood. South Kenwood is it's such a jewel. And I used to always say, people, when I used to take cabs, they would go, where's Hyde Park? Where's South Kenwood? Never, you start coming south on Lakeshore Drive and they'd get nervous.
Oh, yeah.
And then they come down the street and the Obamas live a block away. And it's a beautiful neighborhood. I love this neighborhood. I walk around it all the time, marvel at the history of these houses. Many of them been around since the 1800s.
Yeah. What advice would you offer for Chicago's bright future?
Get involved. Get involved. And it doesn't matter whether you're tutoring an elementary school class or mentoring some young people who've lost their way, or whether you're financially supporting the many institutions. Be involved. Because just as we want people to feel ownership in the Obama Center, all of us should feel ownership in this city. It's our city. It's going to be only as good as we make it.
That's right. Get involved. Great
Get
advice.
involved.
Valerie Jarrett, thank you so much for
You're welcome,
inviting
Val.
us into your backyard
You're
and
welcome.
having this conversation with us. It was very insightful and uplifting.
Thank you. Thank you.
As always. Of course, I know you all are so excited to have been a part of this and gathering that insight and that wisdom. I want to thank you again, the Chicagoland Chamber of Commerce, for having both of us here today and including me in this wonderful event. Again, thank you for tuning in. And right now, we're going to send it back over to Jack. Back to you.
Thank you, Val and Valerie, for the energizing keynote presentation, sharing insights about the Obama Presidential Center, the importance of business to Chicago, and the future of our great city. Valerie, as a fellow suffering Chicago Bears fan, I also share your eternal optimism, and I too hope to see them in the playoffs and Super Bowl next season. Thank you again to Mayor Lightfoot and Governor Pritzker for being with us today. A special thanks to our presenting sponsor, AT&T, and event sponsors, BDO USA, PNC Bank, and United Airlines, and all the business and civic leaders who shared their optimism for the future of Chicago in our video. And thank you again to our outgoing chair, Bruce Lubin, and congratulations to our incoming chair, Kevin Cassidy. I look forward to working with you and the new executive committee. And finally, thank you to all of you who tuned in today for the Chicagoland Chamber's 117th annual meeting. We are grateful for your partnership and all your support. I look forward to seeing you all in person in the coming weeks and months. Thank you and have a wonderful day.